This will be a discussion of the particulars of this lawsuit relating to the amendment and restatement of declarations of covenants, conditions, and restrictions for Meadview Valley Unit 1. All properties in question are covered by these CC&Rs. These are recorded in the official records of Mojave County on March 2nd, 1988. Article 1, Definitions. These definitions provide the specific meanings of words in these CC&Rs, which may or may not meet the definition in a standard dictionary. These CC&Rs are specific to the lots under their jurisdiction, if you will. 1.7 means a lot is always a lot. Whether you combine them, if one owner owns two and thinks they can disappear a property line, that doesn't make the lot itself any less liable or required to adhere to these CC&Rs. Article 1.8, Miscellaneous Structures, applies to virtually anything other than your house or a mobile home, and shall include but is not limited to patios, porches, cabanas, fences, storage rooms, garages, carports, and buildings. Definition 1.15 specifies what a single family means as far as who can live there, or it describes the situation of a single family, which is an individual living alone, a group of two or more people, each related to each other by blood, marriage, or legal adoption, or a group of not more than three people not related. 1.16 specifies a single family residential use for these lots. The occupation or use of a residence by a single family in conformity with this declaration and the requirements imposed by applicable zoning laws. Article 3 clearly specifies that these lots shall be used, improved, and devoted exclusively to single-family residential use. Article 3.3c says no permanent home shall be erected which is less than 800 square feet, including inside storage, but exclusive of any portion used for a garage. That means if, say, your house is 1,000 square feet total, but 700 square feet of it is garage, you only have a 300 square foot house, and it does not comply to these restrictions. Article 3.3e, or echo, says that all miscellaneous structures shall be of new construction and shall have a concrete foundation and hardwood or concrete flooring. It's very specific. Article 3.4 specifies that no camping shall be permitted at any time on any lots. Article 3.5 discusses animals, and basically it says, well, no farm animals, but it also says standard or customary domesticated animals. They're not supposed to make nuisance noise, and they're definitely not allowed to defecate in your neighbor's yard. Nor are they allowed to run free, unfenced, or untethered. It specifies actually leash length at 6 feet and under direct control of the owner. Article 3.8 discusses nuisances, and a nuisance includes any exterior speakers. No nuisance will be permitted to operate on any lot so as to be offensive or detrimental to any other property in the vicinity thereof, or to its occupant, or which shall in any way interfere with the quiet enjoyment of each of the owners of their respective lots. Article 3.10 discusses trash. It's very clear from this article that your trash is supposed to be hidden from sight from any other lot in a covered container, and no odor shall be permitted to arise therefrom as to render any such property or any portion thereof unsanitary, unsightly, offensive, or detrimental to any other property in the vicinity of its occupants. No incinerators shall be kept or maintained on a lot. It's also noteworthy that you're not supposed to have rubbish laying around. You're not supposed to have debris laying around your property. Article 3.11 involves machinery and equipment. Basically, it says we don't want a bunch of junk laying around these lots. When you finish a job, whatever that job is, you put away your tools someplace that is not visible from any other neighbor's property. Article 3.13 regards signs. believe it or not, you're not just allowed to throw up any sign you want. It's very specific as to what signs are permitted, and it pretty much is reduced to when you want to sell or rent out your property. Article 3.16, Diseases and Insects. Basically, it says you're not supposed to promote anything or condition which could induce, breed, or harbor infectious plant diseases or insects. Section 3.17 is very specific and restrictive about native vegetation. Anytime you want to move dirt around on this property, you're supposed to do everything you can to preserve as much natural vegetation as possible. The reason for this is not just aesthetic, but also because the native vegetation holds the dirt down. It holds the dust down. When you go rampant clear cutting of an area, you create a huge dust problem because there's no vegetation to secure the soil. It mandates that you transplant any vegetation, as much vegetation as you can, and the vegetation you can't transplant must be removed from the property, not buried on it, and certainly not burned. Article 3.19, Temporary Occupancy. You're not allowed to use trailers or outward structures as guest houses. These restrictions do not permit people from having routine large gatherings of people and having them stay in RVs, tents, garages, outbuildings, regardless. You're not allowed to do temporary occupancy on these lots. Section 8.1 covers enforcement of these restrictions. Supposedly there's an architectural committee that's supposed to enforce these, but we don't have that here. I mean, there are names on a list, but they don't actually do anything. So it goes to any owner shall have the right to enforce by any proceeding at law or in equity all restrictions, conditions, covenants, and reservations now or hereafter imposed by the provisions of this declaration. An owner suing another owner is the only way to enforce these restrictions as the situation now stands. Article 8.5, Violations and Nuisance. Every act or omission whereby any provision of this declaration is violated in whole or in part is hereby declared to be a nuisance and may be enjoined or abated, whether the relief is for negative or affirmative action by the declarant, the architectural committee, or any owner. That means everyone understands that you can sue another owner for violations of these restrictions. This concept is backed up by the binding effect discussed in Article 8.9. Simply by accepting the deed, that is, when you purchase this property, you bind yourself to all the provisions, restrictions, covenants, and conditions of these CC&Rs. You signed the paperwork, you made the promise. Your behavior dictates whether or not you're going to keep the promise. And if you fail to keep the promise, a lawsuit is the remedy. This is all very clear. It should be noted at the end of Article 8.9 that the owner agrees that the rights created by this declaration shall not be separated or separately conveyed, and each shall be deemed to be conveyed or encumbered with its respective lot, even though the description in the instrument of conveyance or encumbrance may refer only to the lot. That means these lots are regulated as lots forever. Just because you change the description doesn't mean you change the rules. These are single family residences, and that's what they'll always be until you can get 2/3 of all the lot owners to show up at a meeting in person and vote otherwise. Article 8.12 states, if there is a discrepancy between the provisions of this declaration and the architectural committee, the declaration prevails. It's really quite simple. If you want to live here in Meadview Valley Unit 1, you're going to abide by the rules or you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. The rules are pretty clear, and pretty much what they say is live like a decent human being in a decent neighborhood. Quiet, clean, comfortable, and hopefully friendly. Thanks for listening.